Good morning. How are you today? Cold, chilly morning in Boston. A new week. Hopefully a week of good tidings. Yesterday was an interesting day because on Saturday, Iran announced that at their Natantz nuclear plant, which is their most secured and main nuclear plant, they started enriching uranium at a much quicker pace and level. This was all part of probably also a negotiation tactic as they start renegotiating with the Biden administration and the other powers about the accord that the Trump administration left. So I guess as a tactic, they figured they'll enrich uranium quicker, which will pressure America and the other powers to act quicker. And then something remarkable happened yesterday. Yesterday, there was a bombing or some electrical failure at the plant that stopped all their power, which makes the centrifuges go. And what happens is that if the centrifuges don't go, then the damage is irreparable. It could take a long time to fix. And what happened was that it's remarkable because it's the most secure place. It's the most secure plant of Iran. And Iran knows that Israel is looking to sabotage their possibility of getting nuclear weapons. And yet they can't seem to figure out to protect their plans from Israel. And the same thing happened with their lead scientist just a few months ago, where Israel, they knew he was he was being sought by Israel for years, yet they couldn't keep him away from Israel. It's remarkable and tells us so much about Israel's power and Israel's strength and Israel's determination to protect its people and not to rely not on America, not on Europe, not on any other power to negotiate on their behalf and leave them at risk. Which leads me to an interesting story. Rav Dober of Radchis was a very great Hasidic sage, and one time he came to visit the city of Lublin in Poland, and they noticed that Reb Dober had a very interesting way of waking people up. He would come and he would say, "Wake up, wake up. There's a guest in town. There's a guest in town who's never been here before and will never be here again. Wake up, wake up. There's a guest in town." And people would immediately get up because when you hear there's a guest in town that's never been here before and will never be here again, you want to meet the guest, right? And they would get up and they would ask Reb Dober of Radchis, "Who's the guest?" And Reb Dober would say, "The guest is today. The guest is Hayom. The guest is today because today has never been here before and today will never be here again. And therefore, it's time to get up and deal with today and make it an impactful day." You know, this past Shabbos, we started reading Ethics of Our Fathers. Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avot, has 6 chapters, which we read on the 6 Shabbos between Passover and Shavuot as we get ready to receive the Torah. One of the famous Mishnahs in this past week, in the first chapter, is a Mishnah from Hillel, the great sage. And it has 3 parts to it. Hu haya omer, Hillel used to say, Im ein ani li mili. If I will not be for myself, who will be for me? Uchshani la'atzmi. But if I'm only for myself, then what am I? V'im lo achshav eimasai. And if not now, then when? So I want to focus on the first and the last part of these 3 dictums that Hillel the sage said that are so important. The first thing he says is, Im ein ani li mili. If I am not for myself, then who will be for me? What Hillel is saying is that me, the I that God created, was never here before and will never be here again. There will never be a person, unique individual like God created me ever in the creation of the world. It never happened and never will be again. Because as the Baal Shem Tov tells us, there is no two human souls that are alike. So if I won't be the best me, if I won't live up to my potential, if I won't accomplish the things that God gave me the opportunity to accomplish, who will do it? So Hillel says, if I will not be for myself, who will be? And then he says, now he goes from speaking about the person to speaking about the time. If not now, then when? The moment of today, the Hayom. As Reb Doper Ratchet says, if not now, if I don't take this moment and utilize it to the best of my ability, this moment will never be here again. It's a moment gone forever. It was never here before, and it will never be here again. And I've been thinking a lot about this. As Israel deals with such a great worry of a country, a terrorist country, that calls for its annihilation and works day to day to acquire nuclear weapons so it could annihilate, heaven forbid, the people of Israel. Only 75 years after the Holocaust, when we lost a third of our people, Israel recognizes, if not now, then when? There is no waiting. On Saturday, Iran announced that it was going to enrich more uranium at a quicker pace. Israel couldn't wait. Israel has to be ready at every moment to stop and to prevent our enemies from being able to ever annihilate the Jewish people again. We just came from Yom HaShoah, and Israel recognizes, and has been doing for the last 10 years, of course, since its inception, but over the last 10 years dealing with Iran, that if not now, then when? And you know what else? If not us, then who? The first and the last dictum, we are the ones that have the responsibility to stop it. We can't rely not on the Americans, not on the Europeans. And now is the only time we could do it. And that's why it's so remarkable what Israel was able to accomplish yesterday in the most secure place in Iran's nuclear plans, to stop them and to say, we just pushed you off another year. The New York Times reported that 9 months to a year minimum is what it will take Iran just to make up for what Israel did yesterday. Who knows, it could be much more, because they would never tell us the truth at the beginning. May Hashem protect Israel, and in our own lives may we remember, there's only one you that's created by God, and it's our opportunity and our potential that we have to fulfill to its fullest in order to be the best me I could be. And if not now, then when? There's only one today. There's only one guest that comes every day. That's today. It was never here before and will never be here again. Have a great day.